So you're a new agent or one that's been in the game a while. Either way, you've come to the conclusion that you need a real estate photographer. All photographers are not equal and one can range from $100 to $400 per shoot. Sometimes you get what you pay for and sometimes you don't. In this video, we're gonna dive into some things that you definitely wanna keep in mind before you hand over your money. With that said, my name is Sonny, a photographer with Gale Studios in Cleveland, Ohio, and this is what to look for in a real estate photographer. Getting professional photos is already something that's becoming a standard in the industry. If you're new and young and feel like you don't want to spend the money, then prepare for your career to be stuck in neutral. And if you're a veteran that feels like you've gotten this far without one, so why do you need one now? Well, you're about to get left behind. The common mistake in this industry is making a decision based off of what you want, because it's not about you, it's about the client. And for the veterans out there, soon you won't be selling homes to your friends anymore. You'll be selling them to mine. And what that means is that you're gonna have to cater to a generation that has come to expect high quality photos. And if you can't provide that for them, you won't be representing them. So now that you know what's at stake, let's talk about the first essential thing that your photographer needs, and that is a drone. Drone photography has made its way into real estate and it won't be letting up anytime soon. Pictures taken from above automatically give you a sense of professionalism and a higher production value, while also being able to show off the properties in a unique way. It's also a very quick and easy way to get your images to stand out amongst the rest of the homes listed. I've talked to many agents over the past few years and inevitably the one question that is always asked is, do you do drone photography? I'd say that your photographer having the ability to do drone photography is a must, not a luxury. The next thing that I think is essential to your photographer skills is retouching. The photos that kill me are honestly the photographs that I can tell have been taken by a professional photographer, but in all honesty, suck. The first giveaway is that disgusting yellow color cast that lights give off. Take this photo for instance. I can tell it's been taken by a professional due to the wide angle lens, level of the camera, and the inherent image quality. All these are good, but look how gross the room looks. The yellow cast can easily be toned down in Photoshop or Lightroom. Here's a simple before and after that literally took me 2 seconds. This is a particular pet peeve of mine. I want the room to look natural, not artificial. And the two ways to make a room look unnatural is to go to either extremes. The first extreme is what I call the HDR effect. HDR, meaning high dynamic range, looks kind of cool and used to be kind of trendy when it first came out. The reason that it's used is because it helps bring the shadows more to a level of the midtones, making things that are in the dark a little bit clearer. But in my personal opinion, too much of this mixed with poor color retouching makes for a particularly gross looking image. Here's how I would have edited this. I think it looks much better and more natural. The second extreme is to take all the yellow out of the image. For me, this leaves the room feeling sterile and lifeless. You need a little yellow because that's what adds a little warmth to the image. Some would say I would rather the room look sterile than gross, to which I would say, why settle for either? Be sure to check out the photographer's portfolio to see where in the spectrum of gross to sterile they fall. Now in my honest opinion, if you had to choose between one or the other, I would choose the more sterile photographer. The reason being is because it's much easier to send them an email saying, hey, can you warm these up for me a little bit, versus trying to ask the HDR person to essentially learn a whole new way of retouching. The HDR person will at best view this as more time, which it is, or at worst, a waste of time, and will probably be resistant to correcting the photos without additional payment. So know what your photographer could do before you hire them. It will save you a lot of trouble later on. Okay, the next important thing is going to be sky replacement. Sky replacement is exactly how it sounds. It's a technique that photographers use to replace a sky that they don't want with a sky that they do. The reason that this is useful is because a photographer that can do this can shoot on cloudy days. Contrary to popular belief, shooting on cloudy days is actually better for shooting the interior of a home than on sunny days. Sunny days leave harsh light on the floor, while shooting on cloudy days tends to leave the room with more even light. An even, soft light makes for great photographs. This also means that you can shoot any time of the year versus only on good days. Personally, I don't think an exterior photo that has sky replacement will ever look as good as one taken on a naturally sunny day, but it sure looks better than the image with an overcast sky. The only time that I would suggest requiring the shoot on a nice day is if the house has a landscape, ocean, or lake view that you need to show off. Okay, and so the next thing to look for is window pulls. Window pulls are a technique that turns an overexposed window into a properly exposed window. While being able to see through all the windows of a home isn't always necessary, you're gonna wanna know your photographer can do this if you ever get a property that has views you need to show off. This ability becomes quite handy with those high-end listings that I'm sure you're on your way to getting. All right, so the next isn't a must, but it's a nice to have, which is attention to detail. More high-end homes are bound to have appliances or features that are, more high-end. And because of this can help a buyer throw their money down, especially if the buyer sees that the home has this brand stove or this particular feature built into the house. Now, to be fair, it's not particularly the job of the photographer to know what these things are. I personally think that it's the agent's job to know what the details are that will sell the home and communicate properly if those shots need to be taken. Take this shot for instance. This is just a typical shot of the kitchen, but then I decided to take a shot of the sink. Why? Because this is a $1,600 sink. Why? I have no idea, nor do I care. But I do know that out there is a homeowner that likely does. So this shot is for them. And detail doesn't have to come in the form of a close-up. It could be as simple as smashing the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Graham Stephan style, of course. This is an important detail in order to get these videos to those who need them. But seriously, it can also be as simple as a shot like this. This image shows the living room in a wide shot, and this image shows the view from the window. This image also shows the shelves that are built in to create a reading nook type area. This feature is obviously harder to see in the wide shot, and by taking the additional shot, I'm able to show off the features while also showing the view of the backyard. So try to get a photographer that has good attention to detail. It's not a must, but it's definitely nice to have when you need it. The second to last thing, and arguably one of the most important things to look for, is delivery time. Yes, once your property has been shot, the next important question is, when are you gonna get the photos? Personally, I do next day. That's because my editing process is a little bit more extensive than just adding some presets, so it takes a little bit longer. I've seen some photographers do same day, but this seems rare. I would try to find a photographer that will deliver the images between same day and 48 hours. That seems reasonable to me. Okay, and now for the last thing. It won't be very important now, but I have a very strong feeling it will become very important in the future, and that is videography. Video is a wonderful medium and can have a real impact, especially when mixed with music. But video is much more expensive than photography, so the chances of you using it will probably be slim. Personally, I think that if a property is worth $500,000 or higher, you should probably hire a videographer. But ultimately, I still feel like this should be judged on a property by property basis. The reality with photography is that the light doesn't have to be optimal because A, the photographer should be using a tripod, and B, there are a ton of post-processing and on-site techniques that can help make any room look good. Video, on the other hand, is a different beast. It's also my opinion that not all homes will look good in video, and that's because light is such an important factor. Properties with bigger rooms and better lighting will obviously look better in video. And these properties are usually more expensive, so my advice would be utilize videography on more higher end properties. Okay everyone, that is it for this video. It's obviously a little bit longer one, but I wanted to go into the details of why these things matter. Remember that your photos are a representation of your brand, and because of that, you're either telling the world that you're a professional boss-ass gangster, or that you don't give two shits about your listings. I like to think there's no in between. So if you got something out of this video, please hit the like button, share, and if you're feeling a little adventurous, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. But in my personal opinion, too much of this mixed with while being able to see the only time that I would suggest requiring the photography has made its way especially if